Hello, I'm Laura Valenti. I am the Assistant Dean at the Graduate School, and my area of focus is student affairs. So the team that I lead is focused on assisting students from the time they are actually students at MSU through the time that they are graduating. They have finished their program. Right now, most of you, if you're dealing with MSU, are probably dealing with our admissions group, which is a different team within the graduate school, and they will be able to assist you with everything that you need to know about applying and that sort of thing. And we would be the folks that assist you predominantly once you are here. Okay. So, as I said, so we are a team of professionals and graduate assistants. There are 4 full-time professionals and 3 half-time graduate assistants who work together to create programs and services that are designed to support your academic achievement, but also to hopefully create a sense of community, which everybody knows has been especially hard during the COVID-19 years. But we are trying, as well as personal and professional development. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I am, as I said, Dr. Laura Valenti. Also with us today, Ms. Deborah Reynoso. She is the Assistant Director for Student Success. Ms. Karen Ferrante, Student Assistance Coordinator. You'll be hearing from her a little bit later today because she oversees the areas of sort of financial support for students. Susan Hagan, who is our Enrollment Services Coordinator, and Jake Hutchinson, one of our graduate assistants. He is our graduate assistant for student success. He supports Debbie Reynoso in those efforts. You would get to know Jake if you are in a program where you write a thesis as your capstone experience, because that is his specific area of focus, is supporting students through the thesis process. So these are the sort of housekeeping details for today. I'd like to ask everyone to remain muted, obviously with 110 and growing, I see, folks on the call. If we are hearing dogs barking and babies crying and doors slamming or something, it's hard for everybody else to concentrate. We are going to do today's presentation in 2 sections, an overview and then a section on the financial support. We're going to ask you to hold your questions to the end of each of those sections. So when I'm done, there'll be a time for questions. And then when Karen is done talking about graduate assistantships, mostly, there will be a time to ask questions for those, okay? Additional questions that you have may likely be answered at other presentations that are going on today. So financial aid, specific program questions, things about what you're interested in doing, can you do 2 at once, whatever it might be, those would be likely answered at other sessions today. But I also want to tell you that in terms of follow-up, you can reach out to our general email, gradschool@montclair.edu, and we will be able to answer whatever questions you have. When you write to that address, your question gets forwarded to the right person and you get an answer in a timely fashion. Okay. So our student support programs and services take a lot of different forms, but overall, I would say the 4 primary categories are policies, procedures and processes, workshops and events, and then communication. For policies, number one, you should know that they're consistently reviewed. As a matter of fact, Susan Hagen and I were just reviewing one Thursday and Friday, and we think that we've come up with a way to make it even clearer and better. But we do that constantly. Whenever a policy comes up that seems like it's creating an undue obstacle to students, or it just may need some clarification so that students understand it better, all of those kinds of things, we review constantly. And then of course there is sort of this like wholesale review of all policies once a year, so that at the start of each year there is a manual that can be put out that is the best we can possibly make it be for that year. Procedures and processes. Again, these are consistently reviewed and improved. Our goal is to create procedures and processes that allow the university to maintain its standards and records and all of those sorts of things, but also facilitate a student's success. Hopefully a process makes it so that a student can do what they need to do within the reasonable parameters that a university has. Procedures and processes also recognize special circumstances, and that is a big part of why Student Affairs is involved with policies and processes, because we are the folks who would look at your special circumstances. So a policy is written, and it's written for 99% of the cases and the folks that it covers. And then we know that there are sometimes special circumstances that mean that you can't follow that specific policy. So if you can't be full-time for a particular semester, but your assistantship requires you to be full-time, or you need to take more credits than you normally would, but there's some rule in your particular program that says you can't. Those are the kinds of things we can look at, and we can make exceptions for you. We also handle things like withdrawals from the program or the university, leaves of absence, courses at other institutions. If you, after you start here, you feel like you need to take a course at another school closer to home or over the summer or something like that, we can help with those things. Academic probation, right? So if your GPA is not quite high enough for your program, we're the folks that would place you on academic probation, but would also work with you, hopefully, to get you back into good standing and eventually graduate. So all of those kinds of things come through us. And then we can assist with advocating for you or intervening on your behalf if those special circumstances and those special exceptions that you need are not in regard to a TGS, the graduate school. TGS is the graduate school. If it doesn't apply to a TGS policy. So if it is a registrar's office policy, a student accounts policy or something like that, or procedure, we can, if you've got a reasonable case to be made, we can try to assist you with those kinds of things. We do events and workshops. The graduate school used to just do this this sort of thing once a year at a conference, right? We would hold one conference, and it was was before my time. I've been here a couple of years, but I understand it was a great event, a great experience. And so our switch to ongoing events and workshops through the year is not a reflection that that didn't work, but what it did mean was that if you couldn't make it to that one day, that was the sum total of what the graduate school was able to offer in terms of events and workshops. So we've changed it up a bit, and we do things now throughout the year. We do things that help build community. As I said, that is hard, has been hard during the COVID years, but we do our best. So doing things like welcome tables at the beginning of the year, outdoors where people can gather and not worry about transmission and those sorts of things. We do some meet and greet events. We celebrate Graduate Student Appreciation Day, which is an actual national, it's a week actually, National Graduate Student Appreciation Week. But we picked a day and celebrated grad students. We do things like personal and professional development, things like stress management and time management, resume building. We connect with the library to teach resource investigation, right? Research and things like that. So we do all kinds of personal and professional development things throughout the year. We provide academic support. So we have, for example, a grad student who assists doctoral students with writing their dissertations. We have a grad assistant, Jake, who is with us today, who assists students with writing their thesis. We have a grad assistant actually who sits not at the grad school, but in a tutoring center on campus that assists graduate students with the data and research part of their the statistical part of their papers and their research. So we try to provide as much help as we can to see you succeed academically.